Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Be Still podcast. I'm your host, Rebekah Saller, and today I'm joined by two guests that are no strangers. Second time, woo!
Cassie Murphy
and
Emma Pilcher.
We have to do a little bit of microphone passing, so bear with us. But today's just going to be a fun episode. We're just going to talk about college and all the things that we've learned and just our journeys with the Lord. So yeah, don't mind us. We'll be looking down at our phones a little bit. But yeah, I'm just going to ask some questions and we'll pass it around. But first one is, how does your relationship with the Lord look different from freshman year until now?
You want to take it?
Sure, I'll take it. I would say for me, it just looks like, honestly, spiritual maturity. I feel like obviously it's not there like 100%, but I would say there's like a big difference in even just the way that I trust the Lord. I was very anxious and just afraid in general when I came to college. All things new. You're trying to figure out life. You're trying to figure out what you want to do. And I just felt like it was so easy to feel like, oh, I need to figure this out on myself, like all by myself. And I need to figure out what I want to do with my life and all of that. But I would say just like what it looks like to trust the Lord for me now versus then has just like completely shifted in my life. Obviously there's areas I still struggle with trusting the Lord, but overall I just have my immediate go-to is like, oh, the Lord's got that, like the Lord's going to figure that out for me. And it's not as much on my own shoulders. So
yeah, I can relate to a lot of what Emma just said. I think looking back at my freshman self compared to now, I think there's almost like a deeper trust for sure that is built because I think a lot of your college is spent like, what am I going to do? What am I doing with my life? And all those things. And I think even in this last year or two, I was really wrestling with, God, what job do you want me to pursue? Where am I going to end up? And all these things. And I think just college has taught me to trust the bigger picture, trust, or maybe not trust, but maybe trust that God can see what I cannot. And also like, it's not necessarily knowing about what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, but it's about being obedient today and just trusting that the Lord is orchestrating things that are preparing me for the next step in my life. And so I don't have to know every single piece because like you kind of said, like he's making all things like exactly as they need to be. I think it just is up to us to like stay obedient and he's going to guide us wherever we need to go. I think that's truly been one of the biggest things.
That's good. Yeah, I would just say I feel like freshman year till now has been so much growth in the sense of like just even not even in the Lord, but just who I was as a person. I think there's just so much development in the 4 years. And I just think walking through each semester has held different things for me. And each of those have strengthened me in different ways. So. What was something God asked you to do in college that maybe you didn't want to do, but ended up really being like a forming and shaping time?
Yeah. So the first thing that came to mind for me was an internship that I actually did last summer. I like over the last couple of years have really been wrestling through, do I pursue the education route or do I pursue like full-time ministry with worship? And especially my junior year really got hit with that internal wrestle of just feeling like some days I should totally go for this route. And then, a couple days later, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should fully go this route. And I just remember praying like, Lord, would you just help me make this decision? And it was getting towards the end of the semester. This is spring semester of my junior year, and an opportunity opened up for me to do an internship at a church, not in New Hampshire where I'm from, but in Arkansas. And I remember I had been, doing a lot of things in the last couple summers where I was so excited to go home for the whole summer and spend all this time with family. And I remember being like, this door's open, God. And I know that this is probably actually where you want me to go because I've been praying for like help and direction for what to do with my future. And even just the experience, whether it went good or bad, either way, I just knew that this would probably be very telling for like, what do I like? Like, what is something like, is this where God wants me to go or not? Or just gaining that experience I knew would be so helpful. But it was really also hard for me to like let go or maybe come to terms with the fact that like I was only going to actually get 4 weeks home for summer as opposed to like 3 months. And so that was really difficult for me. But I also knew like I've been praying for opportunity, and this is actually like the perfect door that I think is going to just lead me a step closer to where like I want to, or a step closer to where maybe the Lord has me. And so that was just something difficult that I think just kind of goes up with all the things that we've been talking about of like figuring out who you are, figuring out what you're good at, and what like not just what you're good at, but what do you love to do, And so that was like really hard, but that experience truly taught me so many leadership skills, like just people skills. It did show me like, oh, okay, I love doing this with worship ministry, but maybe I don't love doing this, or maybe I'm good at this, maybe this isn't my strong suit. And I came into my like fall semester for senior year feeling like I did know better about kind of what the next step would maybe look like more than I did so before the internship. So it was really hard, but it was so fruitful in all the things that the Lord taught me for sure.
I would say, okay, when I'm thinking of college, not necessarily being here, but within those 4 years, including summers. And it wasn't exactly something I didn't want to do, but something I was scared, I guess that you could say, was stepping out and worship more. I feel like that was something that was kind of developed like in my heart when I was younger, but was really developed within the summers between college, especially. And then the Lord, would open up opportunities at college and different things where I could step into that. And it wasn't like a full thing like you did, like worship, but it was like little opportunities here and there. And so I think that was something that, not that I didn't want to do it, but it was something that I was like, okay, I should be obedient to the Lord and step out in this. And it grew me a lot, and it's grown my faith in different ways. And I think, yeah, it's just been cool to see like that growth and that sense of stepping out. What is a belief or mindset that you had coming into college that completely changed?
I go. Yeah. I would say for me, coming into college, it's so easy just to like watch other people on social media that are in college, look at other girls, and you just have this expectation in yourself like, oh, I'm gonna have so many friends and I'm gonna never be alone and I'm gonna have everything figured out. And I would say that was the biggest like shock for me, was coming into college and kind of being afraid of the nights that I'm gonna be alone. And if everyone in my like out of my college friends and all that, if they're all busy, like I was just afraid of like being alone, and that fear of, oh my gosh, what do I do if no one could go to dinner with me? Or like I came in with my fiance and I was like, what if he's with his friends and none of my friends are free? And I had that expectation that you always have to be with someone, you always have to be having fun. But I would say, like, don't get me wrong, college is so much fun, but there's a lot of nights where you're not with people and you are alone, and that's okay. And I would say that honestly, that's even where I felt myself grow a lot. And even just my relationship with the Lord was, I didn't have to be alone all the time in college. And you're still doing life in college and you're still figuring things out. And I just always would like look on social media, and social media is such a highlight reel. Even for me, like I do not post the moments where I'm alone or the moments where I'm crying in my room because I'm homesick. But just leaning into the fact that like it's okay to be alone, and it's okay to not have it figured out. It's okay to just binge a show by yourself or pull out the Bible or have a moment with the Lord, because like on social media, it just shows everyone having fun all the time. And I was like, well, what do I do on those nights where I have to be alone? And so that's something that like switched in my mind, even like the first few months of college, was just like, how can I still have fun by myself? And how can I still like spend time with the Lord by myself? And that's just where a lot of growth was able to happen for me. So
that's so good. I think it's almost can become easy to just be so busy that you're like, you kind of forget the importance of what you just said, Emma. So I think that's like so good. I feel like that's just a life skill. That's a good thing to learn, is like, how can I be content being alone, or even like learn like hobbies and things like that, like fill you up individually, because what happens when all those things aren't there, and then you're like, who am I, what am I doing, and all those things. But that was so good, Emma. So I actually, as I was thinking about this, kind of felt like one of the biggest things that has changed for me and I'm going there, is dating. So I I like didn't date growing up, and so when I came to college, I felt like a lot of the last 4 years has been just kind of learning like the right mindset, and not the right mindset in the sense of like I've always had the intent to like, okay, date to marry and those type of things like that you hear in the Christian world a lot. And like my parents were so good at like teaching us to, know what to look for and those things like that. But really, I came into college, I think, with almost the expectation that like it's going to look perfect. Like even sometimes, if you haven't dated anyone yet, you're like, well, first person I'm going to date is going to be who I'm going to marry. We're past that. Okay. So I felt like something that I really developed is the mindset of, okay, if I go into a relationship with someone, the purpose of dating is to determine, do I want to marry this person or not? And if that is how I define dating, then that means that if I come to one of those conclusions, then it can still be a success. And so it took pressure off of the like, if this doesn't work out, I've failed, because I'm very much like, how can I be perfect at everything? Like, how can I not disappoint anyone? How can I not hurt anyone and everything like that? And I think it kind of also taps into the, even just like the area of like relationships are hard, and good relationships, whether it's friendships or family or anything, like there will be conflict. And so even having the expectation that like good things won't require hard conversations, hard things, like that was also just something that the Lord broke off in me. But I'll just say like my mindset is just completely flipped, where I feel like I'm still grounded in the things that I feel like are good standards to have and everything like that. But it's actually made like, okay, considering someone actually so much easier when I take the pressure off of this has to look perfect, this has to feel perfect, because if I'm anxious for 1 second, then can't be the one for me. Or like, I don't know, just my whole mindset has just switched in a way that has really kind of hits my like overarching thing that the Lord has just continued to work in me, is like that aspect of control. It's like when you feel like you're in control and you feel like you're doing everything right and everything is like, for me, that like brings a sense of security. And so, but like really releasing that to the Lord and being like, you know what, even if I mess up or this doesn't work out perfectly, it doesn't mean that it was for nothing, like that taught me things, and that is bringing me a step closer to the right person, because now I know a little bit better of what I want. And if you do it right, and this doesn't always happen perfectly, but like you, like the other person should come away with the same things of like, I know better what I want. And I think you can do it in a way where you're still loving to one another, in the sense of like loving each other well, even when things don't end the way that you wanted them to. Anyway, that's kind of like, I would say, the biggest thing for me.
I agree. I thought I was gonna leave with a fiance. No, I'm kidding. No. Well, I will say that's not. One did. No, but actually, like that kind of was like an expectation that I kind of came into college with, because that was my parents' story, and that was just kind of like what I thought coming into. So that's not mainly what I was going to talk about, but just playing off of that, like it is true. There is like that expectation, and that is some people's story and some people's not. So, but what I was going to say is, I think I came in also with like the stereotype idea of, college is the best years of your life, because so many people say that, and like that's great for those people who it is, but like there's so much more life to live, and I don't like when people say that, because I'm like, that's sad if the best years of our life are over now. And so, and also it made me feel like something was wrong with me in college, because I was like, I walked through a lot of different things that were maybe harder than better in some ways in college. And not that college has been bad, but it's been very growing. And I just think I don't know that I could walk away saying it's my best years of my life. Like, I hope not, but it's been a lot of growing years, and it's been great. And I've met great friends and learned a lot of important lessons through college. But I would say, don't go into college thinking, expect that it's going to be great, but also expect that it's not going to be all the highlight reels too.
True.
What was the hardest season that you walked through in college, and what did it teach you about the Lord's character?
Sure, I'll start. I think it's hard, because I've always said like college, everything's happening so quickly that honestly, I think there's like this exponential growth track that you're on, because when we go home for summers or breaks, it's all of a sudden that like life slows down and you're like, why do I feel like I've made like no progress? Whereas in like the semester, it's like there's something new God is teaching you every single 2 weeks and you're like, you gotta stay with it. But like I think for me, which kind of plays into some of what I just said, but I remember, I would say probably my sophomore year and junior year. Actually, who am I kidding? It's been this whole, I don't know when specifically it was the hardest, but I came into college and I hit the ground running. I literally, by my first semester, I was on a travel worship team. I was on like the hall council for the hall that we live in. I was filling every single possible like minute of my day. And I just remember how quickly like life became not very enjoyable here because I was saying yes to so many things. And I think one of the hardest seasons was when that just kind of like really started to kick in, because first semester you can kind of get away with it because you've got the adrenaline of like, this place is new, this is amazing, like we're finally in college and all the things. Well, then you like fall into a rhythm and then you actually realize like how unsustainable it is. And I think like I got really sad when I realized that people were starting to describe me as like, oh, Cassie, yeah, she's always busy. And I was like, that's like kind of sad. Like, is that all I really want to be known as? Or like when you run into someone and they're like, hey, how are you? Like, do I really want my response every single time to be like, good but busy? Like, I hated that. And if you guys have never heard of the book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, add it to your list, because truly was pivotal in changing the way that I just looked at the way that I was prioritizing things in my life. Because I think for the first probably year and a half or two being here, I was too much of a yes person. And I feel like I had to learn that slowing down was actually honoring the Lord. And I feel like I learned about God's character is like, actually, Cassie, like you can actually serve me best if you're trying to do everything, because you can't give 100% at some point to everything. When you're doing too much, you're actually kind of giving like the bare minimum to everything and you're not actually showing up at your best. And so to honor me, like I actually want you to start to like say no to things, so that in the things that like are the most important that you truly care about, you can come with like your whole heart and like work hard at it and do it well and not just running on fumes. And so I guess to sum it up is I feel like I learned that God's character, as much as he wants our obedience and our yes, he's also cares about us doing things well and like us taking time to rest and like taking care of ourselves, because I think that honestly we honor the Lord best when we are also taking care of ourselves well. And so that was like a really big thing. And obviously that's pretty kind of a general thing, but it was really hard in times when I felt like I don't even have time to like, I have to like schedule in every hangout, and like that didn't even feel honoring to my best friends and everything. So yeah, maybe not like one specific time, but just like an overarching lesson that I think has been the hardest for me to learn, but so fruitful, and just kind of having a better understanding of like who the Lord is and like his heart for me, and in like in a sustainable way that I think will carry into the way that I, work in my career and in all other things. So yeah.
Well, I've talked about it a lot on this podcast, but my hardest season was definitely taking a semester off when I got sick. I don't know, just being like separated from friends and stuff, and it just wasn't what I thought college life was going to look like for me in the sense of all my years and all my semesters. And so yeah, taking a pause was really difficult, but I think I just learned, well, I learned one, not about God, but I learned that I can do long distance friendships, like yes, that's possible. And that gives me hope going into post grad life. But also just about the character of God is that he's just faithful in every season that he does go before us. And yeah, even the things you would never imagine in college would happen, they might happen to you, but the Lord's faithful. So
it's true. Stick with me on this one because I feel like I'm all over the place. Like you guys are like making things come back to mind, and I'm like, wow, that was hard. I would say overall, in a nutshell, my junior year was the hardest year. Honestly, like everyone says junior is the hardest year in school, and I would agree with that. School wise, I was struggling. I don't know. I feel like I hit my burnout just as much junior year than I did senior year. And I think it's because you're getting into what you're actually wanting to learn, and you're hitting that crisis of like, is this what I'm actually supposed to do? And it's like you're really coming down to the thoughts of like, oh, this is about to be my life. Like I'm stepping into my career, because I feel like freshman and sophomore year, you're like, basic classes, you're just living the college life. But junior year, it's like, okay, these are like stepping up and it's getting hard. And then on top of that, like hearing that Rebekah wasn't coming back, and you have this routine and you have these friends and you have this schedule, and like in a moment, like things shift so quickly. And it's like, how am I supposed to jump back into something that I now don't know? And so like even like there'd be moments for Cassie and I, like we would just cry. Like it was hard. And just in general, and like both of you have just been like strong friends in college and just faithful and like consistent friends to me, which was honestly what kept me going through the phone and then in person, truly. But just overall, friendships are hard, and being a girl is hard. Like girls are sometimes mean. Girls can be a lot. Not you guys, but just in general, like friendships are hard, and figuring out life is hard, and figuring out career is hard. And so I think even back to what I was saying at the very beginning, like this fear of having it all, not having it all together, or having it all together, or whatever, just weighed on me a lot. And I think coming into college, I feared the moments, the hard days, because in life, everyone has hard days. And I was like, I don't want to have them in college because I'm alone.
True.
And so just leaning into what the Lord's speaking into you in those moments, and back to the saying that it's okay to be alone, and it's okay to have those hard seasons, but be like, okay, Lord, this is a hard season, and be honest with the Lord. Like the Lord rewards that. The Lord honors your honesty to him, and just being like, Lord, I don't know what tomorrow is going to hold, but I just need your help. And I wouldn't even say like every day in that season was hard, because there were some sweet moments, but it was just a hard season in general. Figuring out life is hard. Like, yeah, it's just overall, that was just a pretty rough season. So
Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice to your freshman self, what would it be, or what would you say? I can start. I think freshman year me was very much like, well, okay, freshman and sophomore year, I feel like it took me a little bit to be okay with being here, which is kind of crazy because obviously I chose to come to college here, but I did struggle with a lot of homesickness at first. And I think I like didn't fully accept until halfway through college that like this is where I'm supposed to be, if that makes sense. I knew I was supposed to be here, but there was this battle between, do I want to be here? And so I think accepting and being like, this is where the Lord has me right now, and this is like what he's called me, where he's called me to be, was what switched kind of everything, because then I accepted like, okay, I can call this home for right now, and I think a big struggle for me too was like I was always counting down the weeks until I could go home or have a break. And so I remember I hated living like that, because I was like, I want to have fun in college. I don't want to just be counting down the days till I see my family or till I can go home or get a break from college. But I think it was once I fully stepped into realizing the faithfulness of God and like actually seeing him come through for me that I was able to be like, okay, home is not a place that's going to make me feel better. It's like the Lord is my home. And it didn't become any more like where I am specifically, but it was where I knew I was rooted in the Lord. And so if I said anything to my freshman self, it would be like, don't look so far ahead, be present where you are, and know that the Lord's like holding you right where you are.
Okay, yeah. That's a good Rebekah. I think I'd probably look at myself and I'd say, girl, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I mean, I was just saying how I was doing so many things. And I'd probably be like, it's okay. Like, you can breathe for a second, which I had great people in my life telling me those very things. But I think I would also just remind myself that, okay, God sees so much, and this is how much you see. This is how much. And just trust that the Lord knows the rooms that you're going to be in, the conversations that you need to have to bring you to where like he has you. And I think that I don't know, with that, I would just tell myself, like, just to relax a little bit, in the sense of, like, just be patient. Like, when you slow down a little bit and you just kind of trust God's timing and his process, oh, it's so much better than trying to, like, rush to the answer, or to, I don't know, try and figure it out first. Like, I think about at like teaching, it's like if you have like a test in front of you and you try to whip through it too fast, you're missing too many details. And you're like, I had a student ask me one time this semester who was like, how do I know, like, this is this for this question? I said, well, did you read the full question? And he was like, well, I was trying to go quick because I know that we're timed. And I was like, but you're actually, like, hurting yourself by not taking the time to just pause and, like, read the whole question, because then you're actually going to be able to answer more accurately and actually save time in the end. And so in that same way, it's like when I'm trying to just do it my timing and go so quick, like, I'm actually missing things that the Lord's trying to do in me. And when I take that time, it actually brings me to the place I, like, need to be. So anyway, all that to say, I would probably just say, breathe a little bit, have patience. The Lord knows so much that you do not, and he's got it.
No, that's so true. And even you saying that, like, we just see a little bit is such a good reminder for me even now. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in, like, oh, but I just want to know. I just want to know. So I relate to that a lot. But bouncing off that a little bit, I would tell myself back to what I've said so many times, but just tell myself, like, to not be afraid. I just came in with a lot of fear. I mean, a lot of uncertainty, just, and I don't even know if I, like, admitted to myself that I was afraid. I was just more of an anxious person, and I just wanted to figure things out. And I would tell myself that it's okay to ask for help, because it's, even now I'm like, I want all the help I can get. Come help me. Like, pray for me, please. Like, I'm like, calling people, like, please pray for me. But I just had this expectation that I just needed to have it all figured out, and it's okay to not. And so I would just tell myself to ask for help whenever you need it, and just to be present in the moment where God has you, because it's so easy just to wish it away, just like you said. But I remember my most vivid memory that has gotten me through college was when my mom was dropping me off at college. And shout out to my mom. But my mom was dropping me off at college, and we were sitting in the parking lot, and she just reminded me, I was like a mess, and I was like, I don't want to go inside. And she just reminded me that the Lord is going to take better care of me than she ever could. And that's truly what's gotten me through college. Just like, the Lord's going to provide for you everything that you need. And it is totally okay to not know right now. It's totally okay to ask for help, because the Lord truly provides those things for you for a reason. Like, he knows we can't do it alone. He knows that we don't have it all together. Like, that's the point in our faith, and that's the point where we can just rely on the Lord. So that'd be the biggest thing for me, is just ask for help when you need it, and just to not be so afraid. So
That's so good.
Plug for counseling.
Real.
Hey, if I got you through school, I got you through school.
Amen.
What was something that you learned about friendships in college?
I would say okay, there's a couple things. I'll try to make it brief. First of all, like I mentioned earlier, is that the right relationships don't necessarily come without conflict. And I think it can actually be such a healthy, good thing. Like, honestly, when you hit that point of conflict and you work through it, I have felt so much stronger in my friendships, because I'm like, we've walked through some things and we're still here, and we chose to, like, continue to invest in this friendship, and you get to know each other on an even deeper level, and in so many ways that I think only kind of conflict can bring you kind of closer together. So I would say, I think I just really kind of learned that, having expectation that friendships are always going to feel perfect, like, you're going to be disappointed really quickly if you think it's just going to feel perfect. But then I guess this is kind of more of like a negative side, but I guess just, I think learning that friendships, though, do come with, like, disappointment at the same time, is that not everybody is going to maybe, like, be able to be the friend that maybe you want them to be. Some people will rise and meet you where you are at and what you're needing, and some might not. And I think that can be really hard, especially sometimes in the Christian community. You like there can almost feel like this pressure we have to be friends with everybody, and so that can be hard, so that like sometimes you feel disappointed because I don't know, there's just sometimes it feels like we should all be good friends, and then it's like when someone doesn't, or it doesn't like turn out the way you want it to, it can just be like hard to carry that and not take it like not like have that root like deep down inside of you. But anyway, I don't want to like stay there too long, but overall I would say that like godly friendships care about your well-being and like your spiritual health and all the things more than they care about just making you feel good or like just leaving in the moment that things get a little bit like what's going on or whatnot. Like godly friendships work it out and pray for one another and are intentional and all those things. And so anyway, I don't know if any of that just made sense. I think I hopped around. So thank you. Next.
I want to do a whole episode on friendships at some point because I feel like there's so much to say. But I remember someone gave me this advice a few years into college and it stuck with me. She said, pick 4 people and invest in them a lot, like in college. And I think that's so important. I think the first 2 years of college, I really had like big friend groups and it was fun. We were doing things constantly and that time is fun. But these last few years have just been my close, like tight friends that I can go to everything about. And I think it's fun and beautiful to have both of those. And I'm thankful for both of those. But I think investing in those people that are going to invest back into you is important. And like for me, like high school, you know, you have your friends, but you're kind of just like stuck within your class. I feel like college is a bigger range of people to pick from. And so, you know, don't feel like you have to be friends with everyone because that's exhausting and that's just not sustainable to do. So I would say just invest like in those friends that invest in you. And it's okay if people don't invest back into you, but I would say spend your time pouring into those that are also going to pour into you.
Yeah, I agree. Both of that was really good. And I agree completely. And I agree that we could talk about friendships forever because
there's so much.
Yeah, there's so much. The Lord created friendships for a reason, and the Lord created us to not do life alone. And so that's really all I have to say about that. Like finding, like honestly, even praying into your friendships is so important, and pray into asking the Lord to bring those strong friends because it can be very draining when you're the only one pouring into friendships, when you're the only one calling, you're the only one texting. And that can be so draining. And so just finding friends that pour back into you is so important. And like I said, the Lord created life where we get to do it with people and we get to have those friendships that make us better, that make us stronger. And I just think that's so important. Even like as I'm about to get married and have a relationship, like I still want to invest so much in my friendships because they're not my relationship, you know, it's so different. And I think people easily just think, oh, when you get married, it's just you two. And obviously that is a priority in your life and one of your main priorities, but friendships are so important. And so I'm like, the ones that I build, I don't want to lose. And I just think, like I said, even having friends to do life with is just so important. So
yeah, no, that's so good. Another thing to add on is like your first friends at college may not be your lifelong friends, and that's okay. A lot of times I feel like you have filler friends to just like at the beginning go to the calf with, or seasons, like there's people who I was friends with in a season and now I'm not, and that's okay. Or especially every semester is so different and college is just so different that your friendships are going to continue to change. So that's not a bad thing. It's very normal. And I don't know, I remember like the first week being like, these are gonna be my lifelong friends, and like they aren't, and that's okay. And it's been cool. The Lord's cool too. He brings things back into circle, and some of those people I've reconnected with senior year, and it's crazy like that. But just know that, you know, it takes time to find your friends. But this is a fun one. I actually am struggling to think of an answer for this one, but maybe you guys will have one.
Why did I think you would have something to say? That's your funny personality.
What's something cringy or funny you did as a freshman that you would never do now?
Okay, this is a disclaimer, or not disclaimer, but this should be just life advice. If you ever start something new, go somewhere, and you're with a new group of people, and I think as soon as I say this, you guys will agree. Avoid trauma dumping. Avoid trauma dumping with people that you've only known for a week, okay? Like, tell me why. Okay, our freshman class, when every freshman class comes in, you see this like huge group of people together, and like the first week you're like, we just all like are bonding because like this is their testimony and all these things. But like in hindsight, I'm like, what was going on? Like, okay, don't get me wrong, a lot of those people still love to this day, but we all kind of cringed because we were like, we were so emotional of like, we just felt like we were bonding over everything when it was like almost focus on what Rebekah was just saying about like, okay, take your time getting to know people, but also don't feel pressure that you have to like share everything about your life with someone that like you have just met. And that's just a general thing of like, it's really okay if you don't share your deepest, darkest secrets in a game of we're not really strangers on a random night. So that's just something that I feel like I hear so many people like who are now seniors, we all talk about that, like, why is it that we just are telling these people everything about our lives when we've known them for maybe like 1 week? Other than that like that's just like the most prominent thing in my mind that I think of. So there you have it.
Good. I did just think of something. Okay, bear with me. I've grown in this area, but I was a little boy crazy at first. I just was like that in high school too. I was like, I like always had to like someone just for life to be fun, you know? I don't know. It was harmless. It never got bad. But yeah, I don't know. I was just a girl. We've grown. I'm not like that as much anymore. I'm just a girl. But I feel like freshman year, I was just funny. Like my friends would be in relationships and I'd be like, set me up with someone, or like their friends. And so I just am like so over that now. I mean, some setups are great and maybe it results in marriage, but I'm sorry, when you're a freshman, sometimes there's some immaturity there, and then signals just does not go well, and people think you're obsessed with them and you're not. So just don't have your friends set you up unless they're like trusted people that really have your back, because a lot of times they just want to do it for the plot and they don't see you in mind, you know. So anyway, yeah. There.
Okay. I don't know. It's hard because I transferred in. So I didn't come my freshman year where I'm like, oh, newbie. I don't know. Yeah, my first year, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like overall
she came in, she was already perfect.
No, I was not, but I'm just very like reserved. You know, I'm not like throwing myself out there. I came in with a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like I came in and I, like I said, I was fearful. I knew, I was like, I want to figure out my life and myself. But I don't know. I look back at pictures and I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you wear that? Why would you pose that way? So I don't know. Maybe that's the biggest thing for me is I'm like, oh, girl, no one told her that makeup did not look good, or the skinny jeans were not working for you.
Skinny jeans.
Or the big holes in your pants. I don't know. Styles change, and I just think it's funny to look back on my style and be like, that's a completely different person. I don't know if there's like a specific thing. Yeah. Because I mean, like I said, I transferred in my sophomore year and I only had 3 years here. So it wasn't like I came in like a baby, but yeah.
No, that's good. That's funny. What's one practical habit, spiritual, emotional, or academic, that changed everything for you?
I can just say I don't know if this is where we're going with this question, but for me in high school, like there was days where I was like in a rush and I would just be like, I'll clean my room later. I'll make my bed later. But when I came to college, I all of a sudden just was like, I'm going to wake up every morning, I'm going to make my bed, I'm going to clean up. And I've stayed in like a consistent routine that like if my bed's not made and I come back, my day is not going to go well. And so honestly, just starting out your morning in the right way. And for me, like my mom always used to tell me, you need to make your bed. Like you need to start out your morning right. Start out your morning clean, you know? And I didn't do that until I had my own space in my own room. And honestly, I've seen a big shift in my life and I just feel more put together. I feel like I'm starting my day better. I know that's not even a spiritual thing, but it can go into that. Like the Lord wants us to treat our lives the right way. You know, He wants us to stay clean. He wants us to figure out how we can be the best version of ourselves. And I just felt like the best version of myself was starting out my day with, I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to clean what's not clean. I'm going to provide that time and even time for the Lord. And all of those things, the Lord can like work in cool ways. So very random, but that has been very helpful in my college years.
I feel like kind of circling back to some of the things that I've said about when I was talking about how I used to be like saying yes to everything. One thing that really changed for me was taking a step back, looking at my schedule and saying, no, really, like what are the things that matter most? And then almost creating not like boundaries, but almost, okay, what are my limitations? Like when do I start to say no to things? And for me, that looks like, okay, I want to prioritize hanging out with, okay, these are my closest friends, prioritizing hanging out with them. And if more than 2 or 3 of my nights are filled, I'm not saying yes to anything else. I think we forget even the value of just having a night where nothing is on the schedule, right? True. Because even if something comes up, well, in your head, you're like, oh, it's a free night. And so then if you're saying yes to something, it's because you actually want to do it in the moment and not because it was already pre-planned and I'm exhausted and now I don't want to actually go, but I'm forcing myself to. And so for me, a practical thing was taking a step back. What is most important for me to say yes to, and identifying what would actually be probably not good for me to say yes to, and starting to really practice that. And like once you get comfortable saying no, you realize there's actually so much freedom in it. There's so much freedom. And obviously I'm not saying say no to everything where you're just like, you know, not committing to things or backing out on people who like you should be spending time with, but in a way that will be most healthy for you in the sense of like, again, like I was saying before, kind of showing up at your best. And so that has totally changed the way that I feel like I have just even learned how to like live well.
That's good. Mine's kind of along those lines too, is maybe it's just because I'm a very type A person, but I have my planner for my schoolwork with my homework that I write down even though Canvas and whatever tells me, but I also have like a weekly planner where I write down like hour by hour like my day, and that's just like might be super intense for some of you people listening and might think I'm crazy, but that has like helped me a lot practically just because I'm like, okay, I like know what I need to get done for schoolwork, but also I know if I can say yes to that plan or hang out with that person. And even sometimes like I don't like to do this, but sometimes I even have to schedule like my time with the Lord just because otherwise I'll fill it with hanging out with friends or other things when it's busy. And so I think just being on top of things and just planning has really helped me. How can you make the most of college? That's a loaded question.
This is like really hard. I would say making the most of college looks like being plugged in. I mean, Rebekah mentioned being homesick for the first couple years, and that's totally normal for people to feel homesick. But the people who stay homesick are the people who don't get involved. The people who don't like find a church that they like to get plugged into, or they don't get involved on anything on campus, or they don't pursue relationships and whatnot. And so it's kind of your cliche answer a little bit, but truly like college will be actually what you make it. So if you are not going to anything, if you're not at least trying to make friends, because here's the thing, not everything's going to work out exactly, or maybe you really won't like some of the events that your school puts on, but you're also not going to know if you don't even try. And so like making the most looks like putting yourself out there. Maybe you do have to go through a season like me where I said yes to too many things, and then I had to like kind of adjust, like, okay, now these are the things that I want to say yes to. But never saying yes in the first place, though, will get you nowhere. And that's going to be really hard if you're not open to new friendships, new experiences, and just kind of like seeing like, what does this place have to offer, rather than being like, instead of maybe looking at it as just like, I'm just here, why aren't things just coming to me? It's like, you might have to go out and go do.
And I agree with that. To bounce off that as well, I would say like being willing to step outside of the box, because for me, I came from a huge high school, public high school, where I was not involved because it was just hard to get involved, and there's all the stereotypes, all the clickiness, all the things, and I was like, I'm just fine staying back and not getting involved. But then whenever I came here, I had this expectation that it would just be so easy and things would just fall in place because I'm at a small school, which, like I said, I was at a huge school. And so I had this expectation that coming here, everything would just be like, oh, it's so easy to get involved, or you get so involved with people on your floor, you get so involved in like your major and your cohort and all of that. But being able to still step outside of the box is what made my college experience, because you can sit in your room all day and you can hold back from making friendships and hold back from meeting the people across from you and all of that, but it's not going to lead you to anything. And so even like the experience that we get to have in chapel and all of those different things, like I might not have been super involved even my senior year since I was doing a practicum, but like just having that I can always come back to because of what's already built has just been really cool. And honestly, that just has changed my experience here, and I would recommend that to anyone. Just lean into the things that are available. And even if it looks scary, even if it's like, oh, I don't want to do that, I don't know them, trust me, if you start freshman year, or sophomore year like me, it'll be so much easier because you'll have all those traditions, and you'll have all those fun things to look forward to your senior year. So,
Yeah, that's good. I have two things. I would say, like kind of like you said, get involved, but say yes to things that you thought you wouldn't say yes to. Like I had like one semester, I think it was my junior year or sophomore year maybe, where I told myself, I was like, I'm gonna say yes to doing every intramural sport. And I remember I stuck to it, and like though I hated some of them, I loved some other ones. And like, you know, maybe you didn't think I would play flag football. Not good at that one. I did. Or frisbee was really fun. But like I remember just being like, toward the end, I was like, oh, I don't want to do volleyball, but I have to do this because I told myself. So I would say make goals like that for yourself, or like make a bucket list. Like we have a senior bucket list. We're trying to get everything done, and like just like make goals for yourself and try to accomplish them. Whether that's like going to random young adult things at random churches like I have, it doesn't mean you have to keep going. Just try things because it makes it fun. And then the other thing I would say is invest in other people. I think so often you can be selfish in college, almost, of like, what can I get out of this? But I think investing in other people brings more satisfaction in a way of just being like, you know what, I'm going to go out of my way to talk to that person I don't really know, and at the coffee shop or in the barracks or whatever, just because I don't know, I feel like it brings a lot of joy when you invest in other people and get to know other people. So yeah, look out for other people. All right, last question, and then we'll wrap it up. But what would you say to someone who's about to start college, whether that's about faith, academics, anything? Just what advice would you have for an incoming freshman or someone who's in college that you're like, you know, want to give some advice to?
this is a hard question. This is very hard. For me, I would say
For someone who is nervous coming into college, or maybe still feeling that while they're in college, my mind is going to the importance of prayer. Guys, classic Christian answer, but truly every single time I'm worried about something, nothing like helps the way that when I'm sitting with the Lord and I say, God, this is what I'm feeling. And maybe I end that prayer and I'm still feeling exactly the same way. But there's something about when you take that moment to pause and you bring it before the Lord. Because at the end of the day, I'm someone who I'm like, what can I do to make this feeling go away? What can I do to make myself feel like I've got things under control? But like, it's all about actually the fact that you're not in control. And coming to terms with that, again, that's like basically been my story, is in every hard situation I've walked through, it's always come back to like, Lord, whether this goes good or bad, do I trust that you're still good? Like I always come back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they are like about to walk into the fiery furnace, and they're like, even if the Lord doesn't save us, we would still have like done the same things and we would still walk to this fiery furnace. And I think if you have that heart posture, oh my goodness, so much fear, worry, doubt, anxiety starts to melt away when you truly just learn to surrender to the Lord, because there's really like not much you could probably do anyway, even if you were trying to be all in control. And so I think that's just kind of the biggest thing that comes to my mind, and has been one of the most like integral parts of me and my walk in coming into school, and then like staying strong just throughout this journey. Is like, it always comes back to like, it's not actually about me being in control, but it's about trusting the one who is.
I would agree with that completely, and that's what came to my mind too. To even tweak it a little bit from my point of view, I would say just to remember that the Bible is your guide as well. Like everything, like this is the firm foundation of everything that I do, is having my faith. And I wouldn't be here without having the Lord in my life, and the Lord wouldn't have called me without him guiding me here. And so I would just say, like, you're going to have those hard days, and you're going to have those hard things that come up in life, but just being able to go back to the word and back to where we have the advantage. We have everything laid out for us. Like, and that's just so cool that we have everything right in a book. And obviously it's a big book. And so sometimes it's like, where do I even start? Where do I even go? But the Lord will like work through that. The Lord knows exactly what you need. And so even just like having my confidence in the Lord, and just knowing like, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to spend time with you, and I'm going to make sure that I do. And there's been even days where I'm like, why do I feel so heavy? Why do I feel this like anxiety and this fear in my life? And it's like, oh, because I haven't spent time with the Lord, and I am trying to carry it alone. And so just realizing that you don't have to carry it alone, and that the Lord's got your life worked out. And that is the good news that we have, is that it's not all in our own. And so that's just the biggest thing in my life, is just the Bible is your guide, and that is what's going to get you through everything. The Lord is your firm foundation. And so keeping that the forefront of your mind and letting that guide you. He goes before us. And that's just been the cool thing in my life. That is part of my testimony as well.
That's so good. I would say like it's okay to be nervous, and you're gonna be nervous, like especially as a freshman, like you're all in the same boat. But you know, bring people in on it. I think that was huge for me, is like, you know, anxiety and just like being anxious can cripple you. But I think if you bring people into what you're walking through, whether, you know, going to a Christian school like here, there's been professors I've met with and just cried with in their office. And it's not even about my classes. It's just something they mentioned in class and something that I've been walking through. Or it's going to our RD, or going to a mentor, or just a friend. Like, bring people into it, because you're probably not alone in it, or they have advice for you. And if you don't go to Christian school, like, get plugged into a good church or community, or even call people back home. Like, it's important to have mentors and friends back home that can encourage you too. So I would say that. And then just, yeah, trust the Lord. Like, he is writing your story in the midst of college, and a bad day does not determine a bad semester. And yeah, just every semester is going to be different, but just trust that he holds your life, and he's writing your story. So anyone have any last thoughts before we wrap up?
All I'll say is I think it's so cool that we're able to sit here and talk about all this. Like, we're all graduating literally a week from today. Like, in a week from today, we will be like getting ready to walk and get our diplomas. And I think what a blessing it is that we can sit here and reflect on these things. And I know that we've all walked through like different seasons, and like, I mean, girl, you're graduating with us. Amen. Hallelujah. but like
That's a testimony.
I know, literally. And like, isn't it so cool that we're all able to sit here and just talk about how good he's been? Yeah. Like, more than anything that was hard, we're all like, look at God's hand. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just kind of, I mean, this is the time to kind of reflect too. So obviously it's kind of like fresh almost, because we're all about to say like goodbye to this. But like, truly, like, if we're sitting here about to graduate and God's got us, he's got you, you know? So that's all.
No, that's so good. It is good. Yeah, no, and to piggyback off that, like, there were so many like times in semesters I truly didn't think I was going to make it through, or I felt so overwhelmed, and I was like, what do you mean I'm only a sophomore? I still have this many semesters left. Like, but just take it day by day. But yeah, the Lord is so faithful, and it is so crazy that we're here. So Yeah. Well, thanks guys for listening. I hope this was a fun, just different type of episode. And whether you're in college, about to enter college, or even you're not in college, hopefully this was fun to listen to. But thankful for these friends. Yeah, just thankful for you guys' advice and encouragement. So we love you guys, and we will see you in next week's episode.